everyone, Linda here, the Scrapbooking photographer. I'm here today for two hops. One is the paper crafting YouTubers, which the November theme is nature, and the other one is Stamp It Like It's Hot, where this month we're stamping on a background. So for nature, I have chosen a photo of my husband and I at a park in the north of New Zealand where the god of the forest is growing, and this is this giant kauri tree here. The Maori name for this tree is Tane Mahuta, and it's pretty spectacular to see. But what I really want to focus on today is using this beautiful stamp set from Stampin' Up called Wild Ferns, and the Wild Ferns dies that go with it. So I've already cut some of these out in some Stampin' Up paper, and I am going to use the dark brown background, which I have already gutted, and this lighter green on the front. Now I'll just go around the outside of this with my dauber, and I'm going to use the pine ink from Close to My Heart just to bring in a little bit of the darker colour that's going to go on top of this lighter green. I'm not quite there with the names of these papers yet from Stampin' Up, but what I am loving is the two-toned scrapbooking paper which they have recently released. So these papers came out with the Christmas scrapbooking workshops, and these two-tone papers do have a white core like the Close to My Heart ones, so when you rip them you get the white on the inside, and it also means that they are lighter as well than the solid dyed one-tone cardstock. So much better for layering in scrapbooks without all that extra weight. Much better to use on the Cricut machine, and much better to use in the albums. So I'm really enjoying that. I'll just quickly whiz around here. Okay, so that will go in there like that. Now I thought what I would do is bring in a little bit of a surround here. I thought I might use pecan pie. So the pecan pie has a light side and a dark side, and I really like the light side here just to bring in a little bit of a frame around that scene. So it's one big photo. Now I'm going to stamp, because we're talking about stamping a background, I'm going to stamp on this lighter green piece here. So what I'll do is get my Versamat, because it's always good to use the sponge backing behind it, and just get this piece. Now because we know the photo is going in the middle, I'm just going to go around the outside. And as you can see here, some of these ferns are very much like our New Zealand bush ferns, this one and this one and this one, just beautiful. But I thought I might put a little bit of a texture on the background first, and because this is in the same set, I thought that would be a good way to go. And again, I'll do this in the pine. And underneath here where the photo is going to go, I'm just going to trial it. So this will just provide a little bit of a backdrop for some of the fern stamps that I'm going to pop around the outside. And hopefully it's going to look all right when it's all finished. The other thing I thought about doing was just coming up with the blending brush to give it a little bit of depth down the bottom. So I might do that also, I think, and just see how it looks. So I'll grab my pine brush and just underneath here, just bring a little bit more of this darker pine into the bottom. Because as we know, in photography and things, the darker at the bottom provides a little bit of an anchor, and coming lighter up the top, which is actually what the photo's doing. It's darker down the bottom and then lighter up towards the top where the sky is coming in. So I'll just kind of copy that a little bit, see how this works out. As you can hear from my voice, I've been a bit crook and I've still a little bit nasally, and actually I've got a really bad headache today, so I'm staying home, but I have put this off for as long as I possibly can, and I really wanted to take part in this video hop because November is the time where I want to be keeping up to date. Right, so let's have a look. Just before we add the stamping. Yep, I think that's okay. So we haven't quite finished stamping because we need to add some of these stamps. So we'll start with this big silver fern here. I think it's good to start big and then go small. Yeah, so I went to Christchurch last weekend for my niece's wedding. The wedding was absolutely gorgeous, beautiful bride, of course, and groom. And the weather, though, was just disgusting. It was, you know, I was there for 5 days and 4 of them were lovely and warm, not too much rain. But the day of the wedding was absolutely shocking. It was freezing and it was wet. So there I was, having bought a summery dress to enjoy, you know, getting dressed up, which I don't do a lot. I don't sit here in flash clothes, that's for sure. So I thought it would be nice to get dressed up. Bought a nice new summery dress, had some nice summery shoes. Well, I ended up going out and buying some stockings to wear, and I wore some boots. So it was just unbelievably and unseasonably cold. Well, I say unseasonably, but actually it was spring in Christchurch, so I guess anything goes. And that's pretty much what I'm doing here. Anything goes on this layout. I quite like the way that the texture that we put behind is just giving it a slight background. And these curly fronds are working quite nicely. The cling stamps actually I found to be really good with the way they stamp. You just have to be a little bit careful. But I do like the way this is kind of looking very much like a full New Zealand bush of different leaves and ferns. So that's kind of the look I was going for. Let's see how that works with the over the front. Right, so I need a bit more there and a bit more there. Actually, I need another texture paste, another texture stamp there. And a couple more of these big stamps. We get that covered, and then we've got, okay, now I might just put a little bit more of the brown down here, of the darker green. I don't know why I'm thinking brown. Just give it a little bit of depth down the bottom part. And that lighter background coming through is a little bit like the sun shining through. Okay, now while we've got the stamp out, I'm going to stamp on a couple of these little ferns here. So we'll just go with the one, but that's okay. I think we'll be able to work with that and probably stick this all together now. That layer. Then we bring in the pecan pie, the lighter side, and the photo. Okay, so that gives it a kind of a bush type feel to it, quite like that. And then with these die cuts that I've already cut out, I thought I might just bring these around to give it a little bit of framing. And then we've got some extra little pieces here for down the bottom. The letters that I'm going to call this are Tane Mahuta, and I'm using the mini alphabet from Stampin' Up to do that. And when you cut this, you cut a whole alphabet. So I have cut that out in the brown, and I will get the title here, and I might need an extra one to do that with. But I also want to make a journaling box, and rather than muck up the forest look, I'll make one that comes out of the side here. So I'll just grab a piece of this colour and make a little journal box with a tab on the end. Okay, so I've made this piece and then given it a little bit of a border around the outside so I can actually write on the white. So I'll stick those together, and then I'm going to go behind here, maybe that way actually, and I'll find a tab. Now the tab punch is a really good thing to use. So if we cut a piece and we can have either the lighter or the darker green on the outside. I think the darker green, and then that will go underneath there so that we can see where to pull it out. We're going to stick this together first. Really interested to see what other people come up with in this hop. Both hops, the nature one, I love nature, and also the background stamping. Now for the box, what I'm going to do is use these foam adhesive sheets. Now you can get foam adhesive strips as well, which would work, but this is what I've got handy, so I'm just going to use these. And they're double-sided sticky, so you can, you know, we want it coming in from that side. And what this does is provide a bit of a frame for our hidden journaling box. So there, and we'll give it a little bit of wriggle room, but not a lot. And put another strip at the bottom. And one on the side. And this one, you don't really want it to go further in than that, so we'll get that pretty right there. And then of course the rest of the mounted picture is going to have to stay up on the 3D tape because that's the way we want it. So we'll put these in the corners. And then it'll all be at the same height. Now this is the first thing to go on, so let's try and get it where we want it. Okay, now this should slide in there. I'll just go around the outside of that just to cover those white bits where the edges are showing the core of the paper. Right, I'll write on that soon. Right, now we can attach this with normal tape. Leave about a 1/2 inch all the way around. Okay, and then we'll attach these. These are very fine little pieces of fern that are just so pretty. And they should fit now just slightly under the edge of that pecan pie because we've lifted that up. So that works really well. Very happy with that. And the same with the one on the other side. Just gives it a little bit extra lift. And again, it should fit just slightly underneath the corner there. Gives it a little bit more depth and shadow. It's cool. And then this one, I might put the light side up there. Just to cover that. Okay, and then down the bottom we've got this big one that we stamped. Yeah, and these extra little ones. One. Two. And then have a light one down here as well. Smudge underneath there. So then we just need to put the title here, which is Tane Mahuta. So we'll get our alphabet out, and we will need another one as well. But we know what letters we do need. So we've got M. This was a whole alphabet to start with. A, H, U, A, T, and we're going to have to do another alphabet to get the T-A-N-E for the first word. So I've got one here ready to go. So it's just using my little 3-inch machine. It's a mini Stampin' Up! And cutting and embossing machine. And this fits just beautifully on here. It cuts really well too. So we'll do that. And there we go, cut beautifully. So now we can get our other word sorted. So you do need to make sure you get these letters the right way up. You know, ones like T could be either side, but you need to have the same colour, obviously, and I want it to match the colour that I chose at the background. So make sure I've got that side up with all these letters, and that should be fine. So there we have a fairly simple page of Tane Mahuta, and I will pop my journaling in there before you see it on the stills on at the end of the video. I'll just pop a few little stars around here just because they're the right colour really. I'm going to try a little bit of spray here and see how we go. Just a little bit. I don't really want it on the photo. I'll just do it very lightly, just a little bit of extra. Okay, so I've got a little bit on the photo, which I'm not really impressed about, but I'll either get used to it or change the photo. But that is my page for our Nature November for paper crafting YouTubers, and also for the stamping in the background for Stamp It Like It's Hot. So my journaling box under here, and some not so very well directed gold spray. So I do hope you get a chance to see what other people have done on this hop, and thanks for joining me today. Look forward to catching up with you a little bit more during November. If you've liked what you've seen, please leave a comment or a thumbs up, because that helps direct it to other people who might like it as well. And I hope to see you next time. Happy crafting, everyone.